everybody, it's me, Pepe from Pepe's Fruit Trees. Welcome to my channel. Happy that you're here. Today we're going to propagate some plants, and we're going to show you how to do 3 plants. We're going to do a goji berry. Let me show you the goji berry. It's 2 months old, and I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can. It's already flowering, and it's from a cutting. So this is a mature plant that was made from a cutting, and therefore is already producing gojis. That's the idea. That's why you do this. What we're going to do next is we're going to show you how to propagate, and then we'll get back to the goji. But for now, this is a beautiful little blackberry plant. This very tasty and produces during the summer. So it's April 21st in Florida. The weather's been beautiful, and we are going to have an abundance of fruit in the yard to enjoy. So now we're going to show you the blackberry. So we're going to go ahead. We took this cutting just about 2 hours ago from the yard, and you can see it's got lots of life right there on the buds. Lots of life, lots of life. So the spring is the best time, and we're going to go take the cuttings, and then we're going to place them in what we use, which we like to use. You could use other things, but we like to use coconut fiber. It's called cocoa core, or just core. And this is a special blend I have available usually on my website. I don't have a lot of it. It's a kind of a small lot, and people love it when they get their hands on it because it seems to work really well for everybody I've given some to. And not only that, but I've never failed with this stuff. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put it in there. I'll put this blackberry right there. I'll take the other one. I'll make a little trench like this, and I'll place it down here. It doesn't matter if the nodes are down or up, but you know, it is a little better if they're pointing up, but they don't have to work so hard. Now, we take this other guy, we'll lay him sideways like that. Nodes are a little bit to the side, a little bit to the top. And then what we're going to do is very simply push down, but don't push down where the nodes are. Push down away from the nodes so you don't damage them, okay? And then just take the coconut fiber, which, by the way, this coconut fiber has composted moringa and a teeny little bit of earthworm castings. So it's got a teeny little bit of nutrition in there, but not much, just very little. So now we've covered it up. It's been pre-moistened. Okay, because I took the coconut fiber and I already had it a little bit moist. I want it to be moist. I don't want to wring it out of my hands and be that wet. I just want it to be moist. Put it in there. Take this now. Place this in a semi-shady, little bit, you know, dappled light, not too hot of a location. You know, probably 80 degrees, 75 to 80 at the most. You don't want an 85, 90 degree area because these cuttings here don't do well when it gets extremely hot like that. Okay, so that's what we want to do. And by the way, this is a very inexpensive little bonsai pot. It's made of some kind of a plastic material, and I don't always use these, but when I have to lay something in the ground like that, I like to use them. It works out good. You can use pretty much anything you like that you find handy. Okay, so I'm going to put this one away, and I'm going to move on now to the next one, which is going to be, oh, before I do that, let me just show you what it's going to develop into. So it's going to have very small little leaves that'll be coming out. You can see the little piece of the cutting right here and the nodes and how it's branched beautifully from the nodes, and it's doing very, very nicely. So that would be what it's going to first look like, very, very small little leaves. Then you'll have this guy here, and you can see he was a larger piece of the cutting, and here it's calloused. These are calluses that form. And once the calluses form underneath the ground, they begin to shoot out little roots. So if I were to pull this guy out, you'd see a whole bunch of roots all along the bottom, all at the base here of where that node is. Okay, so there's a goji right there. And this is the one we're going to use as the mother plant. I could do this a couple of ways. I could snip this here and put it in the pot and grow it, but I'm using this pot because I'm going to lay it down in the soil the same way that I did with the blackberry. So what I'll do now is I'll take the soil here, and I'm not going to do it where it's done. I'm just going to do it to show you how you would do it, okay? So I would push down on the soil, and I don't have a rock handy. I'd go get a rock, okay? I grab a rock. I would take this, I would push this down like this, bury it in the soil, and then I would just cover it. Yes, and leave them together in the same conditions that I left the blackberry plant. That will grow. Now, if you want to be all cool and real special, and you know you got the desire to do it, you can go ahead and you could have removed those leaves, okay? You could have taken these leaves and you could have removed them, and you know, but I don't do it because it works just as well with the leaves. And then what ends up happening is I get pinched by little thorns, because these have little tiny little thorns which annoy the hell out of me. But yeah, like I said, you know, you got to pay a price to have something that's good, right? So that's what I would do. I would just take it, push it in, cover it up, and make sure you put a little rock or something heavy enough to keep it in place. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the citronella plant, and I'll show you how we propagate a citronella plant. But there's one little thing that's really important, and it's a good lesson to learn. I'll show you what it is. Here we are again with our cocoa fiber. Okay, I like to push a finger in there to make sure that I have a perfect spot for my plant to go into. And by the way, I have not used any hormone at all, no rooting powder at all. With many plants, you do not need it. In the case that you do need it, I will definitely mention it. But when I don't mention it, it's because you don't need it. This here is the citronella. This is the top of a 3-gallon citronella that stands about 3 feet tall. Nice, tall, pretty one. Okay. This here came from the mother plant. This one here was propagated the same way I'm going to propagate this. Okay, so you have an idea what this looks like. This is rooted very well in there. It's doing spectacular, and citronella is a wonderful plant. What we'll do here is we're going to show you that you can actually remove this here, right there. Remove that leaf. Stick this in there. Go ahead and do the usual. You don't even have to cut the leaf or anything. Just put it in there. But you know what? I like to cut it because I really want to stimulate the growth. Now guess what happens? Oh yeah, I stimulated the hormones, I did all that, but this will never really do much more than just shoot out some roots. And that's the end of it. You can't really expect much more growth there. So what are we going to do that for? That really makes no sense, so forget that. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean this guy up. This is going to produce a plant that's going to grow new shoots, grow nicely, and develop into a good citronella that will give you a very nice plant. Stick this in here, and this is the mosquito plant, the citronella, which will help to control mosquitoes. And you can do this as a house plant, or you could do this as an outdoor plant. It's a beautiful little plant. You can see that. We'll do the same thing. I don't even have to cover it with a bag or anything because we're pretty humid in Florida. But if you're in a dry area, you definitely want to create the humidity, put a little dome over it, and put it in a semi-shady location. But you don't want intense light, you don't want intense heat, and you don't want it to dry out. The whole idea is don't let it dry out, and don't flood it. So it's a kind of a tricky little thing that you get the hang of after you've done it enough times.